Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this fourth online session of the Research Methodology Seminar. I will kindly ask everybody, yes, to put off their microphones, except for the presenters, of course. Our online session of the Research Methodology Seminar, we have a rich program today. We have two main parts. In the first part, we will be having a workshop on CorpusTool, which will be animated by Dr. Ameni Hlioui and Dr. Najla Fki. Okay, so it will take an hour. That will be just, let's say, a taste of the CorpusTool, because I think in 1 hour they won't have the time to say much. I mean, at least some introductory preliminaries. Okay, then we will have our research in progress. We have today two presenters, Belhaj and Ms. Hannah Neifer. So Afif will be presenting her doctoral project in progress, and then Hannah will be presenting her master project in progress. And then, of course, we'll be discussing their projects. So we'll be starting with the CorpusTool workshop. I give the floor to our two dear colleagues, Dr. Ameni Hlioui and Dr. Najla Fki. The floor is yours. Ameni and Najla, go ahead, please.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Professor Baknouti. Good morning, everybody. I'm sharing my screen. Is it there?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Can you just move to the presentation mode, Najla, please?
Yes, I did.
Screen, yes.
Is it there? Is it there?
Yes, it is there, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I would like to welcome you all to this online session of the UAM CorpusTool workshop. I hope that the next one will be face-to-face. My name is Najla Fki. I'm an assistant at the Higher Institute of Applied Studies in the Humanities of Mahdia. And it really gives me great pleasure to be co-animating this workshop with my colleague and friend, Dr. Ameni Hlioui from the Higher Institute of Languages of Quebec. Now, let me give you an idea about how we will proceed in this workshop. There will be mainly two parts. In the first one, we'll try to introduce the UAM CorpusTool briefly for the ones who maybe are not familiar with it. And then we'll have a longer part in which we will demonstrate on the software itself. Now, let's start with the first part. And here, maybe many of you are asking this question. So what is the UAM CorpusTool? Shortly, it is a set of tools for the semi-automatic annotation of text. And here I would like to emphasize this. So the UAM CorpusTool is not a software where you're going to automatically annotate the linguistic features you're looking for. So you're going to do some manual work, first of all, in order for the software to generate the results or the statistics for you automatically. Of course, there is an auto-coding feature in the software, but today we won't be able, unfortunately, to reach that stage. It's very complicated and a little bit complex, so we need a really face-to-face session in order to deal with that. So today we'll be focusing on the semi-automatic part. Now, if you want to access the software, then it is freely downloadable from its official website. And here I'd like to go to the website and show you how you can download it. So it's very easy. Just click in here and you will be able to download the software. Here you will get the latest version, but if you would like to download a previous version, like the one we're working on today, version 2.8, you can go to the documentation and you will find it. You can also download the manual. You can contact the designer of the software here, Mick O'Donnel. So if you want to send an email or if you have any issue with the software, you can look for the features of the software in detail. I'm going to give you a brief idea about the features that we won't have time to deal with all of them. So you can explore the website on your own if you are interested. Of course, I'm not going to spend much on that. Let's go back to our presentation, and I would like to give you an idea about the different functionalities of the UAM CorpusTool. So how can this software be useful to you as researchers? The software basically allows annotation at multiple linguistic levels. What does this mean? So, for example, if you want to classify your corpus or your documents or your text according to their genre, discipline, type, etc., the UAM CorpusTool allows you to do that. For example, you're comparing medical research articles and linguistics research articles. The software allows you to make this distinction. Second, the software also allows tagging sections of text by function. So if you're, for example, if you want to divide your text into different sections, let's say in the example of the research articles, you can divide them into introductions, methods, discussion, etc., the different sections, so that later on when you analyze your variables or the linguistic feature you're working on, you will be able to see its, let's say, frequency in each function. More importantly, the software allows tagging at even smaller linguistic levels. So if you're looking for extracting types of sentences or clauses, if you would like to work on participants inside clauses, or even smaller parts of speech like nouns or verbs or adjectives, also the software allows you to do that. I'm moving on to the demonstration session, and here I would like to, before going into the software, I would like to point to something very important. So in order for you to be ready to work on the UAM CorpusTool, there are two main phases that you need to prepare before opening the UAM CorpusTool. The first one is fixing your research variables. How do you do that? I will exemplify with a simple research topic that we have just imagined for the sake of this demonstration. Imagine we are working, or you are working, on studying new choices in two legal subgenres. We have court hearing transcripts on the one hand, and we will refer to those as Txt, and on the other hand, we have life insurance contracts, and we will refer to those as LIC from now on. Now, what are the variables included in this research topic? We have basically two main variables. The first one is the genre variable. We are working on legal discourse, and we are going to call this layer 1. Don't forget this terminology. This is the technical term used in the UAM CorpusTool. And on the other hand, we have the linguistic variable. We are analyzing the mood choices, and we are going to call this layer 2. Now, inside of those variables, inside those layers, we have types and subtypes. So in the first variable, we are going to divide our corpus into two subgenres, subgenre 1 and subgenre 2. And in the linguistic variable, of course, the mood is realized in two main types, the indicative and the imperative. And the indicative, in turn, can take two different subtypes, which are declarative and interrogative. And interrogative clauses or sentences can, in turn, be realized in other two different subtypes, which are yes/no questions or WH questions. Okay, you can have a quick look at this, scan it with your eyes, because we're going to work on that later on. And to make things easier for you, the second thing you need to do is to schematize those research variables. What does this mean? Try to transform them into a visual scheme. Before going into the UAM CorpusTool, try to do this. You can do this on a piece of paper, or you can do this, let's say, in an abstract way in your minds. You just imagine how your variables are going to be classified according to your research topic. Now, I want you to scan this quickly with your eyes, because we are going to work on this right now in the UAM CorpusTool. We will try to translate this scheme into a language that the UAM CorpusTool understands. And now we are ready to move on to the actual demonstration on the UAM CorpusTool. The next phase is creating the actual scheme inside the software. So if you still remember, we are going to work on 2 layers. We call the first one genre, and it should look like this later on in the UAM CorpusTool. And the second one is the linguistic feature, the mood feature, and it's going to look like this in the UAM CorpusTool. Now let's go, let's close that. And once you download the software, a small globe like this one, the one you see here, it's a green one. So you can just click on it. Of course, you can choose where you want to save the software. Here, an assistant will appear. The assistant will ask you to either start a new project or open an existing project. Of course, today we are starting a new project, but imagine, for example, that you have already worked with the UAM CorpusTool and you want to check one of the projects you have already worked on. Of course, you can click on this option. Now, today we are starting a new project. An assistant will appear, and this assistant will help you create your project, and it will guide you throughout the different stages. So here it will ask you to click on Next. And we need to provide a name for our project. Since we're working on mood choices, let's call it mood. You type the name of your project and you click Next. It will ask you where you want to save your project. And here we have the desktop that you can still go here and change the place. Okay, you can save it wherever you want. But since today we are demonstrating, I'm going to choose the desktop to make it easier later on to access it. We click Next and we finalize. Once we finalize, the main window of our project will appear. Now our project is created. We are going to explore those panes one by one, but before that I would like to show you where our project is, okay? We decided to save it on the desktop and it's right in here. If we open this file, we will find different files for the analysis, for the corpus, and all of them will be empty right now because we haven't started anything yet. So those will be filled later on, okay? We'll go back to them later on. Now let's go back to our project. Before creating the scheme that we have agreed on at the beginning, I want to go to the Help pane, and this is something very important. Many of us tend to forget about this one or maybe neglect it, but it's really very important. Now, I know that maybe when you are working on your project, you don't have enough time to check the manual and to read through all of the details. And the same goes for today's session. Maybe you will forget some details from the demonstration. So when you are working on the software, you can go to the Help pane and explore the different topics in here. So if, for example, you don't know how to search inside your corpus, if you don't know how to look for keywords, if you don't know how to conduct statistical analysis, etc., you can check all of those topics and they will help you throughout the project. Now let's go back to our project, and we said that we need to create a scheme. This is the first step. Look here, we have layers in this project and this one is still empty. Now we are going to add our layers one by one. We said we are going to work on 2 layers, one for the genre and one for the mood. Let's start with the first one. As usual, the assistant will help you to create your layer. We click Next. We provide a name for our layer. We are going to work on legal discourse. So let's say legal discourse genre. I'm going to put this in capital letters. And we click Next. Okay, it will tell you that illegal characters need to be removed because the software doesn't accept spaces, okay? Don't worry about that, just click OK, and the spaces will be replaced by those breaks or dashes. Next, Here, it will ask you to choose the coding object, okay? And here we have different options. We can choose to code a whole document or segments inside the document. There is the automatic feature of grammar analysis, and there is the rhetorical structure annotation. Here we are working on the layer of genre, so we are going to choose to annotate the whole document because we are going to classify our documents according to their genre types. We click next, and it will ask us whether we want to create a new scheme or to copy an already existing scheme. Of course, today we are creating our own scheme, so we click next and finalize. And here is our first layer. It's created in here with the name, with the type of coding. Okay, now we have two options. We can either delete the layer. So if you made a mistake or you don't need this layer anymore in your project, you can delete it. And here, be careful. Once you delete it, everything else will be deleted with it. So if you have already started working on your corpus, analyzing your corpus, then everything else will be deleted once you delete the layer. So here, be careful if you want to delete any layer from your project. Now, you can also, or you have the choice to edit your layer. And this is what we will do right now. So let's see how we can edit this layer. Here, if you see, it gives us two names for our genres, legal discourse genre 1, legal discourse genre 2, but those names are not revealing, they are not helpful. Later on, when we are going to analyze our text, we won't be able to differentiate which text is number 1 and which text is number 2. So we need to change those names, okay? It's very simple. You right-click on them and you choose the option Rename Feature. Rename Feature. You click on it, and it will allow us to rename the feature. Let's name the genres by their names, their original names. So here we have two different subgenres. We have, we have court hearing transcripts on the one hand. You can still use the abbreviations. Maybe you're still not familiar with the abbreviation, so I'm going to use the full names. We have court hearing transcripts. We do the same operation for the second subgenre. We have life insurance transcripts.
Contracts.
And okay, yes, did I make a mistake?
Contracts and not transcripts.
Sorry, yes, contracts. Thank you, Ameni. It's not my corpus, so. Yes. Okay, and here are our features renamed. Okay, now look at that. We have here something is required, field, subcorpus, etc. We don't need that. This is a description for what legal discourse is. We don't need that, so we can delete it or we can change it. Okay, we can describe, we can put something else in here, but we don't need that, so we just delete it and we click OK. And here is our first layer ready. We close that one and we move on to the next layer. Add layer again. We repeat the same process. Next, we need to provide a name for it. Let's call this mood. Next, here we need to change the coding object because we are not working on a whole document now. Now we are going to annotate segments inside the document. We are going to look for the different realizations of mood inside the text. So we need to choose annotate document and we click next. Okay, here we have two options, either to choose plain text segments or error segments. We are not going to work on any errors today, so we choose the plain text segments, and this is usually the option that you will find ticked inside the software. So you click next, and then it will ask you to create a new scheme or copy an existing scheme. As usual, we opt for the first one. We click finalize, and here we are. This is our second mood, our second layer, sorry. You can either delete it or edit it as usual. We're going to edit it, and there is This one is more complicated than the other one, so we need to rename the features and add other systems. I'll show you how to do that. So first of all, we said that the mood is divided into two main types. If you still remember the scheme that I asked you to scan with your eyes, we are going to rename the features. So we have, first of all, we have the indicative type. And the second one, rename it into, imperative. We click OK. Now, what do we have to do now? We have only those two features, and there are still more subtypes in our scheme. So what can we do to add the other subtypes? Okay, so here you see indicative, you right click on it again, and instead of choosing rename feature, you choose add system. We are going to add other systems to our scheme. The indicative, okay, the indicative feature will turn into an indicative type here, just like the mood. So now we can divide the indicative type into two other features, and we rename them as usual. We're going to rename those features declarative. This is the first type, and the second one is interrogative. Click OK, and again the interrogative, according to our scheme, is subdivided into two other subtypes. So we need to again add another scheme for interrogative so that it becomes a type, and then we are going to rename our features as usual. So this one is for, let's say, yes/no questions. Okay, and the second one is for WH questions. And here is our second layer. It is ready. The scheme is finalized. Now, there are other things that you can add to your scheme, and those things can help you later on in your annotation. Imagine here, okay, of course, this is a very simple scheme. We've chosen the mood system. It's very simple, and most of us are familiar with it. But imagine if you're working on a very complicated scheme and you're not familiar with your variables at the beginning of your research. So you might need something to help you choose between the different types later on when you are working on your text. So the UAM CorpusTool allows you to do that. You right-click again on the feature you want to add a description for, and you choose the option Add Gloss. You add gloss here, and you write whatever you want about this feature. Okay, for example, you don't know how to differentiate between yes/no questions and WH questions. Of course, as I said, this is very simple. So we're doing this just for the sake of exemplification. So for example, I'm going to write okay, yes/no answer. For example, they require a yes/no answer. I know that this is silly, but it's just to exemplify. Look here. Okay, yes/no answer. Later on, my colleague Ameni will show you how this description will appear when you annotate your documents to help you. Something else that you can do is to add the realizations of the feature. For example, for WH questions, we know that they can have different realizations. So we can find where, questions starting with where, or with when, or with who, or with why, etc. Click OK, and the realizations are in here. Okay, but unlike the glosses, those ones will appear when you annotate your corpus. The realizations will not appear. Okay, so they will be there just in the scheme if you want to check them just in the scheme. They won't be helpful to us, so we can still, we'll just delete them, don't need them. Okay, it's just to show you how to do that. Now imagine that you don't want things like that to appear on your in your scheme. This is what you can do. You go to options and you choose show or hide realizations or glosses. Here, this is a gloss, so we're going to choose show or hide glosses, and they will be hidden. If you like to show them again, click again on show or hide glosses, and they will be there. Okay, let's hide them again. Now, what else can you do? You can also zoom in and out. Let's make this look bigger. Okay, imagine, for example, you want to save this to your to another document or to your research project. Okay, so you can make it bigger, and you can go to the options pane and save your scheme as to clipboard or as PDF. We're going to save it to clipboard. Well, let's go to any Word document. We open a new Word document. I'll show you how it will appear. You click paste, and here is your scheme. You can manipulate it, you can make it bigger. Okay, for example, in the methodology section, if you're going to describe the tools you worked with, for example, you need to describe how you created a scheme, or you need to talk about the UAM CorpusTool. Okay, you can easily copy and paste from the software to another document, to a Word document. Okay, let's go back to our project. Here for the depth, let me talk about this. So here, for example, if we choose the depth, if we choose 2, only 2 systems will appear, just the mood and the indicative. Okay, if we choose 1, only 1 will appear, depending on how many systems you would like to show. Here we worked on 3, so we showed the 3 of them. Okay, but here it's a very simple scheme, but once you work on a complicated one, okay, it will get bigger and longer, so you might choose okay, to work on just 3 or 4 depths here, to show just 3 or 4 depths. Okay, this is basically all you need to know about the layer and how to manipulate it. Now, once our layers are created, what is the next step? What do we need to do now? Of course, we need to include our corpus. Here we have extend corpus, the project files in this project. It's empty, we have nothing. We have created the schemes that will help us annotate the corpus, but the texts are not incorporated yet inside the UAM CorpusTool. Now, before extending our corpus, there is a step that we need to do. Here are our documents. Court hearing transcripts. Start with this text. Okay. The UAM CorpusTool does not accept Word documents nor PDF documents. It accepts only TXT files, files with which have the extension TXT. Okay. In order to do this, we need to convert our Word documents into TXT files. And I will show you how to do that. It's not a very complicated step. Okay, you go to save as other formats. Here you choose this option, other formats. You go in there, and you see here the type of document is Word. We are going to change this type into a plain text document. So you choose the option plain text. Of course, if you're using the French parameters like me, you're going to opt for text brut. Okay, and we go to where we want to save. Yes, where we want to save this. If you remember, I've showed you the file we have created, the mood file. So let's save it in there. I'm sorry about that. And we go to corpus. And here we go. Click save. Don't worry about that, just click OK. And our file will be saved. I will show you later on where it is. Let's go on to the second file, to the second text we are working on from life insurance contracts. We do the same operation to convert it into a TXT file. So save as other formats. We go to plain text or text brut. Again, we choose the same folder, mood, under corpus. You see, this is our first file that we have converted, and this is the second one. We click OK. OK, and here we go. Now our files are converted. Of course, here, if you have forgotten those steps, or if you find it hard to remember, you can still use any online converter to change your files into Txt files. We click on Extend Corpus. Next. Here, it will ask you if you want to add a single file or if you want to add a whole folder. Today, since we are working on just 2 files, we will add them one by one. I will show you how to do that. But imagine if you're working on a large corpus, you're analyzing like 30 texts or even 100 or whatever. I think it's better to add the whole folder of text instead of adding them one by one. Okay, let's choose this option now. We go to our corpus and we choose the first text. We click Next. Okay, sometimes this is part of the, let's say, the inconveniences of the software. Sometimes it asks you to do things you're not supposed to do, but it's okay. Here it tells me to specify a subcorpus before continuing. Normally this option doesn't appear, but it's okay. We can specify a subcorpus. We can specify the name of the subcorpus. So let's just use the abbreviation. Yes, Txt. Just use the abbreviations. But normally it won't ask you to do that. We click Next. Finalize. And here is our first text added. Let's extend the corpus again to add the second text for you to remember the steps. Again, we go to corpus, LIC. Let's change the name. Let's see. Okay, next, and finalize. And here are our 2 documents, our 2 texts added to the project. But be careful here. It says files in corpus, but not incorporated in the project. Our files are inside the corpus, but they are not yet included into the project. We cannot start working on them yet. Okay, so what we will do, you need to incorporate them. You can either incorporate them all by clicking on that, or you can go to Action and incorporate the files one by one. Okay, I will opt for incorporate all at the same time. We click OK. Done. And as you can see here, our files are included into the software, ready to be analyzed. Okay, and what is the next step right now? Right now, we need to start annotating our corpus, and this is what my colleague Ameni will do. I will leave the floor for her. You can start sharing, Ameni.
Thank you. So, hi everyone. Now, I will show you how to work on the text since they are incorporated. Now I'm sharing my screen. Okay, so our 2 schemes are here. And let me tell you one thing, that before doing the schemes, let's say you don't want to investigate any linguistic element, or you don't want to see the relevance of genre. You just want to explore your text, see the keywords, see the frequency of words, see the reference density, etc. You are just interested in seeing if your text has subjectivity or not. You can skip all the schemes, etc., and just explore your text because it has a concordance function. So this is what you can do. Here we have 2 options to explore the text. The first one is here, view basic text stats. So it gives you the length of the words in the text, the sentences in each text, the average word length, lexical density, reference density, etc. Here also you can change file metadata. Let's see that, okay, this is too small for you. You can make it bigger later for annotation. It will make things easier for you. You can also change the font here. You can change the language. Okay, if you, for example, inserted Arabic, you need to change here the language Arabic so that we have appropriate symbols going on, etc. Another option to explore is here in the pane Explorer. And here we have different options. We have Lexis and features. Features is later when we do the annotation. Here you can just look at your text without any linguistic element or layer or whatever. We have 4 options: word counts, keywords, subjectivity, and phrases. And here you can go by file or by corpus. So as you can see the court hearing file and the life insurance file. Let's start with the court hearing file and the word count. So here it will show you the frequency of each word. For example, the personal pronoun you is the most frequent with 46 occurrences, then followed by prosecutor. This is the name of a witness, and you can go on. Now we have 4 visualizations options. One of them is the table, as you can see here. We also have the cloud. So as you can see, the darker and the bigger the font, you know that it is more frequent. So this is the cloud. You can also go for the text here. The hotter the colors, as you can see here, red and its variants, the more prominent and more frequent the words are. And finally, we have the heat options. Also here, it shows you the strength of the frequency of the elements going on inside the whole document. So we can change here to life insurance contracts. So in life insurance contracts, the most prominent word is of, then the, then insurance, of course, since it deals with insurance, etc. And we can go for the for visualization elements. This is for word counts. We can also explore keywords. Okay, now keywords, how do we define keyness? We calculate it according to a reference corpus. Okay, here the reference is either everything else in the project, so you can go only file by file. So this is a key with this is its keyness according to everything else in the project, or you can change here a specific subset of the corpus or other project. So you can choose your reference to see, you know, you always need a reference. So key according to what? According to what corpus? And this is why you can choose that. So here, let's say you don't understand this a lot. You can go to help here. And there is an element on keyness and keywords. And it will explain how to insert another corpus or to work on this corpus and how the keyness is counted, etc. Then subjectivity. This is especially important. This is especially important, especially if you are working with media texts. It will do the thing for you. So we have strong negative, weak negative, strong negative like misstatements. It's very subjective here. Death, loss, suicide, accidental, etc. Exclusion, disabled, also negative. Weak neutral, strong neutral. Weak positive, benefit, etc. Strong positive, like exceed, yes, please. So this will be very beneficial. It will be done for you automatically. And we have 2 other options of visualization in terms of the text. And in terms of heat, heat is very interesting once you come to subjectivity, because it will show you the subjective strength of your text, and it will show you how the subjectivity is going on throughout the whole text, as you can see. Of course, you can change here As you can see, the colors are hotter with quaternion transcripts because the more you go with spoken discourse, the more people are speaking, the more subjectivity you will find. As you can see here, look, inconsistencies, etc., inconclusive. So it will be great to discover your text, especially if you are working on these elements. And we can also have the frequency of phrases. And here you have the phrase length, can go to 3 phrases made of 3 words, made of 4 words, etc. So this is it for Explore. Let's go back to our project and start the annotation. As we saw with Dr. Najla, we have 2 layers. The first one is we are going to find out the genre of the text. So here we click on genre. Now, it is better when you are incorporating your text to name, for example, here CHT doc 1, CHT doc 2, or whatever the title, add CHT for quaternion transcript, or I don't know, literature or whatever you are working on, so that when you are naming, you are not going to go through and read to know which subgenre is this. So clearly this is quaternion transcripts. This is how you do it. We are annotating, again, the whole document. We are not going to touch here. So we double click on quaternion transcripts. Let's say we made a mistake. You can double click again and it goes to blank. So we double click again. So this is the correct one. You can save and close. If you notice here, the color changed to white. It means you finished with the annotation. Here we have blue and here we have white. We go to the second corpus. It is LAC, so life insurance contracts. And sometimes you forget to save. You can go like this and save annotation. So you say yes. The color changed too. Of course, here we just have 2 texts for the sake of showing you a simple demo, but you can work up to, I don't know, hundreds or more. You can work on a lot of text. So the genre function is very important when you are doing your analysis. Of course, if it is a relevant variable in your study, then we are going to move to the second layer, which is mood. Let's remember together. We said we either have the indicative or the imperative. If we have the indicative, it's either going to be declarative or interrogative. If it is interrogative, it's either going to be yes, no question or WH question. Then we go in. Now we are going to, as you can see, nothing is here. Why? Because we haven't chosen the element. We haven't selected anything. So how to select? You place your cursor and you drag. Okay? Let's say you made a mistake and you dragged up to here. You go here. You click again and you drag back till you reach just one clause. So we need one clause. We will go clause by clause. The defense may make its opening statement at this time. So this is it indicative or imperative? Indicative. Is it declarative or interrogative? It is declarative. And we finished with this. I'm not going to go through all the text. I had another version prepared for you to show you the statistics, but I'll just show you some examples here and there, but you need to go, of course, through all the clauses. Anticipate that in this trial, you will hear from several witnesses. So again, this is the indicative, the declarative, but here we have an embedded clause. You can go inside, okay, it allows embedding annotation. You will hear from several witnesses. And you go, of course, for indicative, declarative again. Let's search for an example of a question. Ma'am, would you give us your full name, please? So this is again the indicative. It is this time the interrogative. So here it is yes, no question. As you can see here, the gloss that we created appears yes, no answer. Of course, this is simple, but when you have different realizations, it would be so handy. And we go on with our full text, and we say save. Okay, now here it is not totally white. Why? This means it is different here. It is blue, a darker blue. Why? Because we haven't touched it yet. But here it is between white and blue. Why? It means that you forgot, the system tells you, gives you an indication that you forgot to annotate something. So here, how do I know? You go to these double arrows. It will go directly to what you forgot to add. Here I forgot yes, no question, and I save and I close. Now it is white. And then same thing for corpus. Here we certify to you that you'll be insured as provided by the policy. So indicative, declarative, etc. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. You can have there is an option that is very interesting, which is a command. So let's say you are not sure, you put here not sure, you add, I don't know whether it's this or that, etc. Later, when you do the search, you will find all the segments with commands. Okay. Now we have an option that you need to pay attention to, which is coding options. There is something called automatically code repeated segments, and it is true. Now here it works for us in the mood system. For example, if I have Mary Martin to the stand, this is an imperative asking her to go to the stand. If it is repeated, it will be repeated, since she would be asked to the witness stand several times. So no need to go and repeat. Once he finds the same clause, they will automatically code it. However, if you are working on something else, it would be doing things automatically and they would be wrong. Like, for example, I worked on personal pronouns. One, for example, you work here, you is an actor here, but if I have you receive a letter, you is a recipient here. So if I say this is true, then all yous would be the actors, which is not correct. So it's better to put it as false and go through all your clauses one by one. So now let's go to the statistics, and I'm going to go to the one that I finished annotating. Let's discover the stats panel. So here we have general statistics, which are what we discovered earlier, just reference density, etc. We discovered them here. It will give you exactly a view basic stats, text stats, the same options. We need feature coding, what we annotated. You have different options. Data set, just one file. Compare two data sets, several. For example, here, this works best for us since we are working on two subgenres to see a comparison of the features. Several, you can be working on 3 subgenres, or you can be working, for example, on 3 linguistic features that you want to investigate together to see their differences. You can go for describing each file, etc. So I'm going to go for compare here. And of course, what am I comparing? The 2 subgenres, life insurance contracts and court hearing transcripts. And I will go for show. So these are the results. The indicative was used 96 indicative clauses with life insurance contracts, 146 with court hearings. Imperative, of course, it's going to be lower, 1 in life insurance contracts, 4 in court hearings. In the indicative type, the declarative, So all of them are declaratives. If you notice, this is a huge difference. Just 0 interrogative clauses. Now you come to the interpretation. Why? Because we know this is a contract. What are you going to ask? But here it's a spoken discourse, and the discourse at that where you are asking witnesses and the lawyer would be interrogating. So of course you will have more interrogative clauses. Of course, this number would go higher. I just used 2 pages from the court hearing, but with larger corpus, it would be very interesting. Then yes, no questions. We have 20, of course, here 0, since there are no questions, 20 yes, no questions, and 15 WH questions. Now look here, this is the chi-square. It would be done automatically. Here we have weak significance. You will find just a plus. Here, if you don't find anything, it means there is no significance at all, like here. Then medium significance, you'll find 2 pluses, and high significance, which we will emphasize when we are doing our interpretation, you'll find 3 pluses, like here. Of course, we have a high significance, for example, in the interrogative clauses, where there is null in life insurance contracts and 35 in court hearing transcripts. So this is how you can use the stats. There are other options that you can use. Let's say, for example, here we want to explore the interrogative. Of course, here it would be 0, since there are no interrogative clauses in life insurance contracts, and here 35, 20, and 15. We have different visualization options. You can go here with the diagrams. We can go here with the scheme itself that we created, and you can save your table. You can go for HTML, choose here, it will directly give you the results, save it, and a tab will open. So how do I take this to Word if I want? So select all, copy, open a Word document, and save. Once you save it, you can change all its options according to what you want in your thesis or in your article. For example, go for green, like this. Choose, you can use your Word preferences later. Let's get back. Now, we have other options. Let's say we want the interrogative and not yes, no questions. So it will, yes, no would be null. It will just show you the WH options. We can remove it anytime. We want interrogative and yes, no questions. So it will just show you the yes, no questions. And we have different options. Let's go for mood analysis again. Let's say that here, are you sure that this is, you are not sure whether you are let's say, skeptical about this one imperative. You can click on it and the search option will find it for you. As you can see here, please refer to the text of each section. Okay, it's fine, etc. Then you are sure that it's fine. If you have a segment with a comment, you will have an asterisk here. If a segment is only partially coded, you will have P here. It will tell you exactly that your segment is not finished or there is a comment that you need to take care on. And here you can click here. It will directly take you to the element. You can change your annotation, look at the comment that you have put. So it is very useful. Okay, so this is it. Now let's go to search. Here, let's say you are doing your appendices. When you are doing your appendices, this would come very handy. I used them, and those who worked with the CorpusTool also used them. I want to extract, let's say, all, you'll go, for example, for an appendix for WH question, appendix for yes, no, appendix for, it depends on your preferences. I want to extract all WH questions. Okay, these are all WH questions. You can go file by file. You can go through a table. You can go a summary with context. So here, if you want, so the context of your WH questions, what comes before, what comes after. Again, you can save as an HTML. And you can choose Word. There you go. This is your search result. Your appendix is ready in a matter of 2 seconds. It saves lives. Okay, then let's go back. Again, you have other options. Let's say I want the declarative clauses in just the life insurance contracts. It will just give you the declarative clauses of life insurance contracts. If I want them in court hearings, it will go in court hearings. So you have different options that you can explore again with help here. We'll show you all the queries that you can go through when doing in the search window, whatever you want to explore. Now, finally, the last thing that I want to emphasize, you can do a better appendix this way. You click here. You can do an appendix. Let's say I want to highlight yes/no questions. I can choose a color to highlight them. Let's go, for example, for green. Okay. And I will choose a bigger font, for example. As you can see here, I can go for bold. I can go for underlined, for italic, whatever you wish. So you can, here you have to have like a legend or a map for, so for example, interrogative clauses, you have green, yes/no questions, you have green, interrogative clauses, you have red. I don't know, if you have other options, you would go also on the variations with the underlined and the bold. So lots of different variations. Let's now go for example, the WH ones. And we go, for example, for red. As you can see directly, it is in red. You can go for a very large element. Let's say we want them italics, etc. And you can go, you can add here, you can go, for example, the imperative ones. I want them smaller. And then, as you can see here, and blue color. And then you go in your legend and you specify all these. Your appendices are ready in a matter of a second. You can save them again. Using either PDF or Word or whatever you wish. So Word, so that you can manipulate, and they are saved, as you can see how you styled them. So it's very interesting. The matter of doing appendices that can take you months would be solved in a matter of a second. And this is the importance of doing semi-automatic annotation. So that's all for me. I hope you benefited from the CorpusTool demo, and thank you very much for your attendance.
Thank you. Thank you for you. Thank you, Dr. Ameni Hlioui and Dr. Najla Fki. I think it was clear. It gave us a clear idea about, let's say, the major principles in annotating corpora. I know that CorpusTool has many other options and many other resources, but we won't have time today to deal with all of them. I'm afraid we won't have time to take questions, but I would suggest that if ever you have any question or any suggestions, you send us an email to the CFLAT seminar address, and then based on your suggestions, comments, we can plan another session. If there are any specific points that you'd like to cover or you'd like to know about in CorpusTool, we can organize another session, another workshop for this one. Or if you have any specific points in your projects to discuss, I hope by the time we can go back to physical seminars, we can plan a session where we can deal with specific aspects of specific research projects. Thank you again, Najla and Ameni, for this. Thank you for the thank you for the coordination. Well done. Thank you very much.